One.
Alright. This speech is going to be about Spinosaurus and how its image has changed over time. So, I've always found dinosaurs interesting. I've always thought their existence as a species has been crazy, that these giant animals have existed hundreds of millions of years ago, and we're only able to find them just recently through modern technology. I chose Spinosaurus because this dinosaur specifically has been undergoing crazy debate in scientific papers. Everybody wants to put their opinion in and argue about it as much as they can because everybody thinks they're right and thinks everybody else is wrong. To begin, when Spinosaurus fossils were first discovered, they were found in the Bahariya Oasis of the Western Desert in Egypt in 1912. They were found by Richard Markgraf, but they're named in 1915 by Ernst Stromer. Ernst Stromer is another famous paleontologist from the time, part of the golden age of paleontology. During that time, everybody was trying to find the most amount of dinosaurs that they could and name as many as they could so that they can get credit for it. When the fossils were first discovered, only the spinal vertebrae were found, the actual spine of the Spinosaurus. And at the time, they thought the most reasonable reconstruction of the animal would be essentially a T-Rex with a spine coming out of its back. It wouldn't be the modern day reconstruction of T-Rex with its head facing forward and its tail on the other side. It would be the kangaroo kind of reconstruction that you see from the 50s and earlier, of them standing straight up, their tails dragging on the ground, and their heads sitting on top with their arms sitting out. But in Spinosaurus' case, it would have a giant spine on its back. A lot of this was flawed just because of the technology they were using. Like I said, it was the golden age of paleontology when everybody was trying to find the most amount of dinosaurs that they could. Because of this, they weren't really doing it scientifically. They would dig up these giant dinosaur skeletons without taking pictures or making any kind of drawings, which removes the animal from all kind of context that it's in. They wouldn't record like the location it was found, how the bones were set up. They would just throw them in a box with some hay with no labels and send them to England to where they could be found. And then without any of the labels, they had no idea how to put the dinosaur back together. Eventually they did find a way, and that's why the kangaroo stance was so popular back then, because they had no idea how to put these dinosaurs together. The fossils were then displayed in a museum in Munich, Germany, and they'd sit there until 1944, until World War II rolled around and they were bombed during a British air raid. Until 2008, when a scientist named Nizar Ibrahim would go back to the the Moroccan and Algerian Sahara and find some more fossils, which brings me to the reconstruction of Spinosaurus in the 1990s. So the Jurassic Park franchise would have a giant influence on Spinosaurus. For Jurassic Park 3, they wanted to have a new antagonist, the Spinosaurus. And instead of doing genuine research, they would really reconstruct Spinosaurus as a hulking, bloodthirsty monster that would live in the water and prey on things like an alligator would, sit and wait and ambush its prey. And this depiction of Spinosaurus would be the most popular in pop culture and media. And now that whenever somebody thinks of a Spinosaurus, this is likely the image that comes to mind. And that brings me to the depiction of Spinosaurus in modern day. In 2008, Nizar Ibrahim led an excavation of the Kem fossil beds of Morocco and Algeria. They found new fragmentary fossils of Spinosaurus. And using those and combining them with the drawings from Stromer and from 1915, they were able to create a new modern day depiction of Spinosaurus. It had undergone a complete makeover. Instead of a like humped kind of spine, it would be more flattened out on top. It would have smaller limbs and a flattened tail and a crest on the nose, which would make it seem like it would be aquatic adaptations. And later on, they would even find a second species of Spinosaurus. The most famous is Spinosaurus aegypticus, but they would find a second species named Spinosaurus mirabilis. And there's even Spinosaurus relatives that have been found in South America rather than Africa, because at the time, South America and Africa were one continent named Gondwana, and they were all living in the same area. So on the west coast of Africa would be connected to the east coast of South America, where they'd find another Spinosaurus relative named Oshalaia quiloembensis, and that's all.